Segregation was the known way of life in 19th and 20th century America, as almost all believed that black and white people were incapable of coexisting together. In the 1940s, there were white-only signs on businesses around the South. Segregated schools and neighborhoods still existed. Even after World War II, black activists reported hostile reactions when blacks attempted to move into white neighborhoods. If, in the 1940s, you were to ask anyone if black athletes should be able to play and compete in major league sports, everyone would look at you as if you were crazy, denying every point you would try to make. However, there were a few athletes who broke boundaries through their immense talent and determination. They did not care about segregation, discrimination, and most importantly, people's expectations about what was proper for black athletes. These are their stories.
Jackie Robinson was more than just a baseball star. Born in 1919 into a family of sharecroppers in Cairo, Georgia, Robinson grew up in poverty and was exposed to a lot of racism, which brought him and his family members closer together. From an early age, he excelled at all sports, and his athleticism ultimately helped him break the Major League Baseball color barrier when he started on the Brooklyn Dodgers at first base in 1947. Before he had finally made it into the Major Leagues, there was a period of 60 years of segregation in professional baseball. His rise to the MLB was a major event in the history of the Civil Rights Movement during the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, when most of the country remained segregated. His success in the Dodgers was a symbol for change in America, because now blacks could participate in Major League sports and become integrated into American culture. Robinson was drafted to the Army in 1942 after serving the U.S. Army for 2 years and earning the role as lieutenant. Robinson played one season in the Negro Baseball League for the Kansas City Monarchs. He stood out enough to attract Branch Rickey, the president of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who approached Robinson and offered him a spot to play on the team. In a famous interview transcript, Robinson asked Rickey if he wanted a ball player who was afraid to fight back, and Rickey replied, "I want a ball player with guts not to fight back." This means that Robinson became that ball player who survived racial taunts and many death threats sent him when playing in many cities across the country, especially in the South, and fought back against racism by playing better and showing the spectators the ability of black athletes. There is no perfect reason for why Robinson did what he did, but what he did integrated and revolutionized baseball forever. According to his autobiography, it is clear from newspaper reports that he was called up to the major leagues for his strength of character, not just his talent, to overcome the hurdles that came his way. In one article of Skill and Courage, published on April 10, 1947, in the New York Times, sports writer Louis DeFraud mentions how even his teammates expressed unhappiness about having a black teammate, but his athleticism and success brought the teammates lots of joy. The increasing tolerance of his teammates and coaches is seen through pictures in the Dodgers locker room where he joked around and connected with the rest of the Dodgers players in a private setting. Over time, he had led a very accomplished career in the major leagues. He had the skill to become the National League Rookie of the Year and the self-dignity to endure the hardships that he faced while on the road. He won the World Series in 1955 and the National League MVP award in 1949 and became a 6-time All-Star from 1949 through 1954 and the Brooklyn Dodgers' highest paid player in 1950. His story is significant for many reasons, but most importantly, he empowered all races in America to become more appreciative of one another's abilities. He writes in his autobiography about his close friendships with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how he wanted to carry on his legacy of integration. After he finished his baseball career as a spokesman for the Civil Rights Movement, he was the first African American to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. His number 42 is retired in all Major League Baseball teams, not only because of his extraordinary talent in hitting home runs and stealing bases, but also due to an incredibly ability to remain calm and dignified as he changed the course of history.
So by Jackie Robinson joining the MLB and becoming the first African American to play with mainly whites, it affected the social action tremendously. I'm sure it gave African Americans a way to feel that they belong and gave them hope. And so I think the interactions were started.
Willie Howard Mace Jr. was born on May 6, 1931 in the African-American mill town of Westfield, Alabama. From the time he could walk, Willie's family encouraged his athletic abilities. He attended baseball games with his father, sitting in the dugout and serving as a bat boy for his father's baseball team. After moving to nearby Fairfield, Alabama, Mays began playing for the Fairfield Stars, an all-black team in the Birmingham Industrial League alongside his father. At 15, Willie was recruited to play professional baseball for the Birmingham Black Barons in the segregated Negro League. Before committing to baseball, Willie was a star quarterback on his high school's football team, but he decided to pursue baseball as there were no career opportunities for a black quarterback. While playing for the Black Barons, Willie and his teammates had to sleep on the bus from city to city because the majority of hotels wouldn't house African American players. After graduating from high school in 1950, Mays was scouted and signed with the New York Giants. While playing in the minors, he played for the Minneapolis Millers. He played well, but because he was the only black player, he was jeered by fans for his skin color, received death threats, and was housed in a seedy, colored-only hotel across the town from the rest of the players. To let Willie know that the color of his skin didn't matter to them, several of his white teammates snuck in through his hotel window and slept on the floor to make sure he was safe. A year later, after hitting .477 in 35 games, on May 24, 1951, Willie was called up to play in his first Major League game for the New York Giants. Mays began his Major League career with no hits in his first 12 at-bats, but then on his 13th at-bat, he hit a home run over left field. Although his .274 average, 68 RBIs, and 20 homers in 121 games were among the lowest of his career, he still won the 1951 Rookie of the Year award after helping the Giants get to the World Series. The following year, Mays was drafted into the Army. He spent most of his time in service playing baseball, and when Mays wasn't on the team, the Giants slipped back to 5th place. Mays returned to the Giants in 1954, hitting for a league-leading .345 batting average and slugging 41 home runs. Mays won the 1954 National League Most Valuable Player Award and then the Hickok Belt, a trophy that's awarded to the top professional athlete of the year in the United States. In addition, the Giants won the National League pennant and the 1954 World Series, sweeping the Cleveland Indians. The 1954 series is perhaps best remembered for the catch, an over-the-shoulder running grab by Mays in deep center field during Game 1. This catch is considered the iconic image of Mays' playing career and one of baseball's most memorable fielding plays. Furthermore, this play was even more unbelievable because his talents were seen by a larger white audience. During the 1955 season, Mays blasted a league-leading 51 home runs. In the following year, he led the league with 40 stolen bases, and he won his first of 4 consecutive stolen base titles. Even when the Giants moved to San Francisco after the 1957 season, Mays remained the top contender in his new ballpark. After collecting a career-best 52 home runs, Willie earned his second MVP title. Additionally, Mays broke the National League record for home runs when he hit his 512th home run in May 1966. Soon after, joining Yankees legend Babe Ruth, Mays became the second major leaguer to hit 600 home runs. Mays was then traded to the New York Mets during the 1972 season, and he helped the team advance to the World Series in 1973 before announcing his retirement. By the end of his career, he had 660 home runs, 3,283 hits, 2,062 runs scored, and earned 12 Gold Gloves, and was elected to the All-Star Game a record-tying 24 times. In 1979, he was easily inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. After his Major League career, Mays stayed with the Mets organization as a hitting instructor through 1979. In 1985, Mays was named a special assistant to the Giants organization, a position that became a lifetime appointment. In 2000, the Giants dedicated a statue of the baseball icon outside of the team's new ballpark at 24 Willie Mays Plaza. Additionally, in 2015, he was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama.
Willie Mays, to this day, has been recognized as one of the best baseball players around. So back then, he was still a legend, and he is a legend now. He basically capitalized on, what Jackie went through, and was able to, reach goals that many people haven't even reached. So he's got so many records and will always be recognized as one of the greatest.
Henry Louis Aaron, better known as Hank Aaron, is an American-born former Major League Baseball player known for his exceptional baseball career and his views on racism in the world. But on February 5th, 1934, in Mobile, Alabama, he and his family lived in a poor black section of Mobile called Down the Bay. Aaron's family was large, as he was the third out of 8 children, born to Estella and Herbert Aaron. His father worked as a shipyard worker and a tavern worker, but he didn't make much money working both jobs. When Aaron was about 8 years old, his family moved to a middle-class town called Tollmanville in Mobile, Alabama. During his first 2 years of high school, he attended Central High School, a segregated school in Mobile. The school didn't allow Aaron to play on their baseball team, but instead let him play on the football team, which he excelled at. Although Hank was a fantastic football player with possibilities of playing at a high level of football, he gave it all up because he didn't want to risk an injury for the baseball season. Instead, Hank Aaron spent his time playing fast-pitch softball for integrated local teams. At the beginning of his junior year of high school, Aaron was expelled for skipping classes to listen to baseball games, so he transferred to Josephine Allen Institute, an integrated school in Mobile, Alabama, where he would be able to play baseball. Before the upcoming fall season, Aaron would work part-time jobs and play as much baseball as he could. During a Mobile recreational game, he was noticed by the owner of the local semi-pro team called the Mobile Black Bears, a team with only blacks. Hank was hesitant at first, but eventually joined the team. Over the course of the season, the owner saw potential in Aaron, so he decided to contact the owner, the manager of the Negro American League, Indianapolis Clowns. When Aaron turned 18 years old, he immediately signed a contract with the Clowns. Hank lived up to the expectations others had on him, and the manager of the Clowns wanted to see him at the next level of professional sports, so he contacted the owner of the Boston Braves, a Major League Baseball team. As a 19-year-old, Aaron signed a $10,000 contract for the Boston Braves, who later relocated to Milwaukee. Aaron would be put in one of their farm teams in the minor leagues, where he did not disappoint, and in the Northern League Rookie of the Year honors in 1952. Aaron quickly moved up through the Braves' 3 minor league farm teams, and eventually earned a spot on the Major League team, and the rest is history. As a Major League ball player, Hank Aaron is considered one of the greatest of all time, earning 21 All-Star Game appearances and earning a spot in the Hall of Fame. Aaron also broke the all-time home run record formerly held by the all-time great Babe Ruth, which infuriated many people because they believed the white man's record shouldn't be broken by a black man. As many as 3,000 letters poured into the Braves' office consisting of racial slurs and other curses. However, the home run ball that Aaron put ahead of Babe was in a bid for $15,000. Aaron ended his career with a total of 755 home runs. Not only was Hank Aaron an all-time great baseball player, but he also made an impact off the field, and could regularly make comments about racism in Major League Baseball, explaining on the field he feels like an ordinary man, but once he steps off the field, he goes right back to the back of the bus. Hank was also one of the first black men to be in upper-level management of a Major League team when he was named the Vice President of Player Development for the Braves. In 1976, the NAACP awarded Hank Aaron the Spring Guard Medal for his life achievements as an African-American male. In 1996, the MLB put in place the Hank Aaron Award to recognize the best hitter in the American League as well as the National League. In 2002, President George W. Bush awarded Hank with the Presidential Medal of Freedom because of his work striving for equal rights in the baseball world. In 2005, the NAACP Legal Fund awarded Hank Aaron with the Thurgood Marshall Lifetime Achievement Award. Hank also co-founded the Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream Foundation, supporting young kids to help develop their future. To conclude, Hank Aaron showed the world through his in-game accomplishments that a black man can not only play the game at a major league level, but can be one of the greatest to ever do so. Also, through his playing, he inspired many young kids that they could do anything, and through his black heritage, Hank Aaron had the odds against him to make the major leagues, but he did so, and much more. Hank also helped break racial barriers because his comments allowed for racism to decrease, letting the next generation of African American males to play the game of baseball.
However, it wasn't only baseball players who were making headlines during the time of the Civil Rights Movement. Althea Gibson was born on August 25, 1927, in Silver, South Carolina. Her family moved to Harlem, New York City when she was young. Growing up in Harlem, her life had its share of hardships, her family even living on public assistance for a time. While Althea struggled in the classroom, often skipping school, she loved to play sports, especially basketball, ping pong, and paddleball. She was introduced to tennis at several tournaments hosted by the local recreation club in her town, and then was introduced to the Harlem River tennis courts, a set of famous and spacious courts in Harlem in 1941. A year after starting to play tennis, Gibson won a local tournament sponsored by the American Tennis Association, which was an African-American organization established to promote and sponsor tournaments for black players. Gibson won junior national championships as a 17 and 18-year-old, and then won 2 more ATA, American Tennis Association, titles in 1944 and 1945. and then 10 straight ATA championships from 1947 to 1956. Gibson's success at those early ATA tournaments paved the way for her to attend college on a sports scholarship at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University in Tallahassee. In 1950, she became the first black tennis player to compete in the Eastern Lawn Tennis Association Grass Court Championships, a prestigious tournament in Orange, New Jersey. In 1950, tournament officials sent Gibson an entry for the U.S. Nationals. She defeated Barbara Knapp, but lost in a second-round match. Gibson graduated from Florida A&M University in 1953, but it was a struggle for her to make ends meet. At one point, she even thought of leaving sports altogether to join the U.S. Army. Many of the best competitions in the tennis world at this time were closed off to her, because the white-dominated, white-managed sports was segregated in the U.S. the same way everything else was at this time. When it appeared Gibson was going to be denied spots at the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, Alice Marble, a former #1 ranked tennis player, wrote a critical article saying, "If Althea Gibson represents a challenge to present public players, then it's only fair that they leave this challenge on the floor," Marble wrote. In 1951, Gibson made history, becoming the first African American invited to play at Wimbledon, though she lost to #5 seed Beverly Baker. A year later, Gibson was top 10 player in the U.S. In 1956, Gibson won the Italian singles title and the women's doubles title at Wimbledon. In 1956, she also won the French Open and became the first black person ever to win the French championships. She also teamed up with Angela Bouton to win the doubles championship at Paris as well, the first of 5 major doubles titles. Then came Wimbledon and U.S. Open titles in 1957 and 1958. In all, Gibson won 56 singles and doubles championships. She then decided to turn pro, enabling her to earn more serious and intensified contracts in 1959. In 1968, Gibson tried to repeat her past successes, but unfortunately, she was too old and slow to keep up with the young players. After her retirement, Gibson was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1971. Starting in 1975, she served 10 years as Commissioner of Athletics for New Jersey. In 1980, Althea was among the first women inducted into the International Women's Sports Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, just as her early childhood had been, Gibson's last 2 years were very calm. She went nearly bankrupt before former tennis champion Billie Jean King and others helped her. On September 28, 2003, Althea Gibson died of respiratory failure in East Orange, New Jersey. Gibson wasn't part of the U.S. Black movement, saying, "I have never referred to myself as a crusader. I don't consciously think of drugs for any cause, not even the Negro in the United States." In other words, as an incredible athlete and world-famous champion, Althea Gibson paved the way for other black athletes, including the Williams sisters today. In conclusion, Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Althea Gibson, and many others helped break the chains of racial segregation, helping to pave the paths of those who came after them. These brave and gifted individuals significantly improved the options for African Americans in sports. With their triumphs, talent, and pure guts, they vastly changed the way African Americans competed in these global sports.